Hello and welcome to episode 266 of our SAP on Azure video podcast. Today is October 31st, and together with Goran, we are here to talk about anything related to SAP and Microsoft. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
So today we continue our story about SAP and Microsoft security. So far, we focused more on RISE deployments, on-premise SAP deployments. But what about the SAP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition? Today, we switch the focus to the public cloud, and I'm really happy to have both Martin Pankraz, obviously, with us, and also Patrick Boch from SAP. Welcome to our show. So,
Thank you.
Before we dive into the topic, Patrick, maybe let's start with a quick introduction from you.
Yes, thank you. I'm the product manager security for S/4HANA. Which theoretically includes all deployment models, so on-premise, private cloud, and obviously the public cloud, but the public cloud is our strategic focus, and that's why I'm happy to be here and share the news that we have today.
Fantastic. Well, great to have you. Martin, you're almost one of the hosts already, but for those of you who don't know you yet, maybe a quick introduction from you as well.
Yeah, my pleasure, Holger. I'm one of your team members, also a product manager like Patrick, but on the other side of the house, yeah, on the Microsoft side, yeah. And this is one of the results we always have: co-engineering together with SAP, like our that what we like most, yeah, doing together, yeah, directly for the customer base. And my focus is on the security product suite at Microsoft: Entra, Purview, Sentinel, Defender, and in there helping all the product groups to have the best possible integration experience towards the SAP workload. And that's why it's always cool to do this directly with SAP. And working with Patrick is like a no-brainer. Very, very good to do, yeah. And good journey so far. Yeah, looking forward what's ahead of us.
Perfect. And as mentioned, I mean, this is basically the latest episode where we talk about security. We had a few sessions in the past where we introduced what you can do with SAP and Microsoft security. Obviously, there were a lot of other things where you already worked very closely with SAP to make this happen. And now we look to the cloud, to the public cloud. So maybe Patrick, can you kick us off basically and talk a little or tell us a little more about what we are talking here? What is it that you have been doing?
And what it means, in theory, it includes everything else, but you love public cloud so much more.
Yeah. So let me share my screen in order to do that. So what we're seeing here. So when you generally talk about the cloud, that's valid not only for the public cloud but also for the private cloud, obviously, is that there's a shared responsibility between the cloud service provider, which is in that case SAP with the S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition, and the customer. And generally speaking, there's a lot more details to that, and I'm happy to speak about that anytime. But generally speaking, the customer is responsible for the business processes and the application usage, whereas everything else is basically within the responsibility of the cloud service provider. And that includes security questions. And one of these security topics we're talking about is obviously security monitoring, and that's why we're here today, actually, because that same principle that the customer is responsible for the application and the cloud service provider is responsible for everything else holds true for security monitoring as well. So as you can see here, the cloud service provider does security monitoring for the entire infrastructure, the network, database, operating system, everything which is related to the infrastructure, while the customer is actually responsible for monitoring the application and the business processes. And in order to enable the customer to do that, we as SAP, we have several security-related APIs, which we offer to our customers in order to be able to do that. One of these, or if we look at the three different use cases you can imagine, the one is security monitoring, which is our main focus today, but there's also what Gartner coined the SaaS security posture management and also CASB integration. And the difference is essentially with security monitoring, you have a more dynamic event-driven API, which we provide to our customers, which the customers can consume with their theme system. You also have more static APIs, which look more into configuration monitoring. And then last but not least, there's also the possibility to influence, to manipulate data in the S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition system itself with the CASB integration. So, for example, by locking users. But I think today we're going to focus actually on the theme part, so the replication of security logs.
But that's really interesting because I think in a lot of cases when you think of SaaS applications, this is just this black box basically. So I just log on and then everything is there and I click through. But basically what you're saying is you are opening this up. So there are APIs that I, as a security provider, can leverage to also really get access to get some additional insights in what is happening from a security perspective. Obviously, in my context, in the system, so I can integrate and connect also other SIEM solution like what we are talking about here.
Exactly, that's exactly the idea, and you called it opening up, and that's exactly what we're doing. So we started with a few, I don't know how many we have, like a dozen APIs right now, but we're expanding on that. So there will be additional APIs which include more security relevant information. So eventually our aim is obviously together with you guys to have a sort of comprehensive security overview, even for the public cloud.
And I think this probably really brings a lot of additional trust from the customers, because now not only do they believe that SAP is doing a good job there, but they also can really see this and potentially also take their own actions by combining the security related information that they're getting from, in this case, SAP S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition with other signals that they have potentially from other systems that they have in their environment.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was referring to when I went the comprehensive overview. And also, as you said, I mean, transparency, I think, is the key word. And that includes not only things like the APIs, which we're now offering, there are a lot of other initiatives within SAP, not only related to S/4HANA, but also for BTP, where we make these signals more transparent to our customers. And one part is the solution itself. So in that case, S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition, but it also includes things like our certifications, everything we're talking about when we talk about security compliance these days, NS2, DORA, all these kind of things is also something we're trying to make more transparent.
Yeah, the customer is not only looking for transparency, but sometimes they also need to prove they have this integration. Yeah, there are audit findings around this. How do you prove to someone that you store the data for the security team accessible in a way that you can actually find problems after the fact? Yeah, so it's not only trust, but it's also mandatory by industry standards. So to have this. All right. There's a good bunch of integrations there, but Patrick didn't mention one thing. Why did we start this? Because we had customers demanding, saying, speaking to both SAP and us, hey guys, where is your public edition coverage? And there's multiple ways of achieving this. But of course, a native connector is like always the most desired, because it's plug and play and the easiest to use. And this is what we are going to have a deeper look at today.
Cool. So now you'll take a look at the Microsoft side, basically, from things. So now we see that, or we've heard now that S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition can expose event logs and which we can use to replicate the security logs. And now you'll show us how this looks on the Microsoft side, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. We can jump into the first steps of the demo. Or was there one more slide that you wanted to show, Patrick?
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Okay, so I'll be sharing from here.
Yes.
So wherever the customer is, the Defender portal or still on the Azure portal. Yeah, Sentinel is moving to the Defender portal only. Yeah, but we are here looking at the Azure portal experience. Yeah? And in here, you can basically go through our instructions, how to set this up. Yeah? There's this configuration scenario called 750. Yeah, that's described by SAP and linked from here. What this is about, how to enable the required integration towards the SIEM product, in this case Sentinel. Provide your API URL, which is generated in here, authorization details, and that's it. Yeah, you click add account, you provide those 3 items in here, you click connect, and then it starts flowing. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So you're getting the data from or events from S/4HANA Cloud.
From the audit log API, yes.
From the audit log.
You start similar like with other APIs. You just create a communication agreement, which exposes the API, and then I just copy and paste the API here. Obviously, need to authenticate, and then we have Sentinel connected to the SAP system.
Exactly, and that's standard process. The SAP basis admins administrating the public cloud solution, they know this is always the same. It's communication scenarios, communication user, communication system. Yeah, you configure this, all standard process. That's it. So I believe this is probably the fastest integration you can do for audit log in the SAP space. Yeah.
Well, I mean, the good thing is this is public cloud, right? That's all where a lot of things are much easier, actually, because you don't have all these different customizations. You don't have to figure out how to go through this firewall and then block this and block that and whatever, how to set up a reverse proxy. But you can just, once the communication agreement is there, once I have the API, it's just connecting and consuming it.
Exactly, yeah. And this is also the reason why it will be simple for us to move forward with more content, because it's just adding a different entity set from the OData API and see how the response looks like, put in the transformation, and we're moving onwards then.
Oh, great. Yeah.
All right. So from here, this is the connector experience how to deploy. Once this is done, you have data flowing. And I actually configured the first incidents. And in this case, I was looking at failed logins. So there's a message class that identifies failed logins. And this is one symptom or indicator of someone trying to break into the system. If you have a certain threshold of failed logins, this becomes suspicious. So typical password spray attacks look like this. When someone is like throwing a dictionary or passwords that he downloaded from somewhere, trying to break in. Of course, only possible if you don't have MFA or like things like blocking after 3 attempts or giving you timeouts when you 3 times did it wrong and you have to wait 2 hours and stuff like this.
No, I like that. I mean, a reminder of the previous episodes that we talked about, how important MFA is, how just enabling MFA reduces the attack vector quite a bit. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And actually, I found still customers that create this. We'll see in this tenant with standard configuration, the logs will show, I think, 280 cases. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you already need maybe some fast fingers, or you need some scripting to even achieve this high amount of numbers. Yeah. Yeah, so from here, this is the first incident created in Sentinel based off of that tenant. Yeah, you get the typical information on our end, and then you can run over this. You can run queries, and in here, for instance, I made a first aggregation on what does this look like. Yeah? So you get the typical system ID and then the number of failed attempts in that time frame. Yeah?
Okay, so basically, you can on the top create your own reports, so to say, for easier analysis as an example.
Yeah, you have the full freedom, but you can build on top of our built-in detection rules. Yeah, yeah. We have a set that we already have for private cloud and on premises, and in here we have a effort of transformation from public cloud to activate matching content on our end that we already had before. Yeah?
And those data that you're getting are from S4 system. It's S4 internal system security information, whatever is related, right? Which should be similar or same if any system, S4 system would be used, I guess, or not.
Yeah, you could say so. Yeah, there is
Okay.
overlap there. Yeah, but Patrick and I are we're looking for ways to to close the gap on this, because not everything is the same in private cloud as in public cloud. Yeah. Do you have a comment on that, maybe, Patrick, or an example that you?
No, actually, just like from a technical point of view, the security audit log in the private cloud and public cloud is identical. The difference is that we're not exposing everything in the public cloud as opposed to the private cloud, but the simple reason for that is that some of the information contained in some of the events which are in the security audit log are events which relate to what we are responsible for. When we think about the shared responsibility matrix I just showed, we're just showing what's really interesting for the customer, and obviously log on failed is probably the top security audit log event to look at.
Yeah. But I think from a Microsoft perspective, then or from a customer perspective that has Microsoft Sentinel in place, if I understand it correctly, the information now is available in Sentinel, and then I can just run a Custo query to get insights there, correlate this probably with other events that I have already. Maybe, especially here, this failed login detection. Maybe there were 5 previous failed login detections detected in M365 or on Entra ID or something like that. So all of a sudden I can bring all this information then here together in the Sentinel workspace.
That's correct, Holger. We actually will go there next in the demo.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's the right thinking. Yeah. So we're looking at a signal right now, but what does it mean in the bigger picture? And we wanted to start small, right? So this is what you get out of the box. Yeah, from the connector that SAP published into Microsoft Sentinel on the Content Hub. So it's a fully blown solution. But the cool thing is, this is actually using the Sentinel for SAP capabilities. Yeah. So we only needed to make sure we can do the transformation from how the API in your data side is different to how we consume private cloud. Yeah? So we are reusing existing stuff. No? All right. So you already said, what about the bigger picture? What happened before? Yeah? And this is where the attack graph and the rest of the security suite comes into play. And I want to show one picture on this. Yeah? This is the latest architecture, or not architecture, but component view on how this plays all together. So on the left, we have now S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition feeding information also into the Microsoft Security Suite, where then everything else gets activated. When we have shared signals with Defender or with Entra, we already spoke about logins with MFA, for instance. But there's also Intune in play when you have devices on from where you browse to the S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition Fury screens, or if you use the Teams app, wherever there's interaction from actual user, there are signals created. And Purview then looks at the data security stuff when you have data loss prevention policies, etc. And overarching over this, Security Copilot cannot be missed, of course. So that's the high-level component view, where SAP's S/4HANA Public Cloud can now be part of. Demo-wise, we're now on the Defender portal, where we have Sentinel feeding information. This is the place where we will be eventually. Sentinel on Azure portal will actually be deprecated sometime next year. And then you will have Sentinel only in the Defender portal by that time. So here I'm looking at a more comprehensive SAP incident, where exactly happened what you just described before, where you have multiple signals painting the attack graph picture, where you have the bigger overview on what's happening before and after the signal we are looking at. And in here we have Entra ID providing the login signal in this particular case that we're looking at, which is different to the password spray we looked at before. And all the involved components circling around it. The SAP device and yeah, everything that is correlatable. Yeah, the IP address from S/4HANA Public Cloud, the SID information, everything that was used in terms of the login, yeah, the email address of the account, and the Enter ID session, yeah, if it's used for posting and sign-on. This is how it would look like in that case, yeah, when you add S/4HANA Public Cloud to the mix, yeah, in here.
Great. So you really see basically your landscape, or I mean, here obviously from a security perspective, how attacker potentially was traveling through the environment, here bypassing MFA in this specific case. Then probably he is in the, or the attacker is now in the network, and now the attacker is continuing to log on to an S/4HANA public cloud system. All of this information would be available here, and then I can follow the path basically, and hopefully stop the attacker in time.
Exactly, yeah. So we want to be as far left on the kill chain as possible. Yeah. Whenever we get the first reactions, we want to, with high confidence, take action. Yeah, as Patrick already had on the slide with blocking the user eventually. Yeah. That's when you take the disruptive action, or isolating a machine.
Yeah.
So does that mean what you mentioned, that you can detect that kind of malicious user and send to the S/4HANA public cloud a request to log the user?
Yes, because Patrick and team, they have an API that allows interacting with the user state. Yeah. So if the customer then deploys our playbooks in Sentinel for SAP and enable the inbound API for business user status change, I think it's a status field, which you then switch to disabled. At that point, the user is no longer active in S/4HANA Public Cloud.
Nice. And that's very useful scenario, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then there's a new feature that I also want to show in this. We have here a slightly different attack graph. And in here we also have something new that is called, viewing the blast radius. So this is now something where you need to put on the hat of the SOC analyst who's looking more from a hunting perspective. That wants to understand, okay, we have signals in this space. How important is this? Yeah. What's the problem? Yeah. If this has been compromised, yeah, do I need to take additional action? Yeah. When we now want to see the blast radius, our correlation engine and attack graph capabilities calculate from this node, where can I get to next? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And this gives you like some idea on how problematic a compromise of this node in the attack graph would be. And actually, this machine, yeah, if the attacker can get a hold of it, has a managed identity. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And this has access to this key vault, yeah, where you have additional secrets available, and this has permission to those storage accounts. Yeah.
Cool. That's actually really cool. So that potentially the SOC analyst, even if he's not so familiar with this exact scenario, the SOC analyst probably doesn't even need to know what this managed identity is being used for, but they can immediately see, okay, all these things are impacted potentially, and then they can decide whether this is really a severe thing with, as you said, a huge blast radius, or whether this is really isolated, whether they are on a virtual machine and no other connection are possible. Then still it would probably make sense to follow up, but then maybe the impact is not as dramatic as like in a case where there are other services that can be now consumed because of this of the attack on this specific virtual machine.
Yeah, it serves multiple purposes. When you're in a pre-breach scenario, this way you can isolate really vulnerable nodes. If this gets compromised, it has a huge blast radius. Maybe I want to segregate this more, to avoid having a single point of attack, or failure, so to say. And in post-breach, it gives you insight in, okay, I have a compromise here. Maybe in those other areas, I need to go look further if I don't have signals from there yet. Yeah. Just to be sure. Where should I go next? Where could the attacker have gone from here? Yeah.
You know, this is really amazing, because these okay, you have a relatively simple example, but that can become very complex in a real environment, right? So on your slide, I saw somewhere MCP server.
Yes.
So are you using that kind of AI magic in the background in order to figure it out, maybe?
Well, security vendors can now query through our MCP APIs and enable agents to reason over what we know about S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition now. When you integrate this is now available through our MCP servers also to other vendors who are creating security copilot agents, for instance.
Right. Okay. This is so, which opens additional possibilities as well for the further integration, in an easy way, in an agentic way. Yeah. Nice.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, and all of these capabilities with S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition now being part of the journey, and providing their signals to reason over. And then we can always close on the Copilot generating your summaries on this, also providing then the information that S/4HANA Cloud Public Edition provided. And we spoke about blocking users. That's also always as part of our demo capabilities here, where you can use Teams to do the containment step, suspend the user, and then afterwards, in the end, also force password reset, etc.
Yeah, I think now that the data is available, obviously, the events are there, then I can build on all the functionalities that Defender provides me with, from notifications, from running Logic App workbooks, from implementing the Teams integration, which we might already have, or a customer might already have, because they have done previous work with Sentinel already. I think it's nice to see this coming all together.
Exactly, yeah. And that's also why it was quite simple for Patrick and me to do this, because it's all configuration only. We had existing content, we have the platform and the capabilities where we just need to plug into the right place, provide the email addresses, provide some of the host names and the domains, so that you can actually correlate this internally, so the SOC analysts can see the bigger picture.
Yeah, quite honestly, I mean, when Martin told me that we'll probably only need a couple of hours to integrate that, I was like, no way. But yeah, that's how it was. It was really, really easy.
Oh. Well, so, and can I already use this as a customer? Or is this still in the lab, basically?
No, you can just go to your content hub and start deploying from there. Yeah, this is not an R&D session here. Yeah, so I'm using a public tenant, and everyone can start deploying today, and connect their systems. And actually, we have the first customers doing this. Yeah, we ran through a small preview. And we have the first customers using actively.
So is this in which stages currently official? Is it private preview, public preview?
And since it's a partner connector provided by SAP, there's only the public preview, so to say, once it's available here. But you can, we ran through as a small private preview initially.
Nice.
But it's available for everyone. And the APIs from you and Patrick, they're all generally available, right? There's no preview state anymore.
Yeah, they're all available.
Yeah. So this is basically the initial stage where a certain threshold of deployments needs to be reached before the Sentinel Content Hub flags this as a fully vetted, fully battle-proven connector. Yeah.
Makes sense, yeah. Well, great. Thank you so much. I think this was it's really, really great to see how the security collaboration is growing and growing with Microsoft and SAP, and we really come much closer together. I think this is fantastic for customers, and again, really great to see. Thank you so much to both of you for joining us today. I say to many guests, it would be great to have both of you back, maybe with some additional updates, some additional integrations that come, additional security best practices. So I hope we can make this work in the future again.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Thanks for the invitation, and absolutely happy to do that again.
Perfect.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.